But this motherfucker has so many fucking errors.
Maybe it's in our best interest to miss the playoffs. Just absolutely repulsive. We are in the dog days of the baseball season. We're coming up to the last 2 months of the regular season, so obviously lots of playoff implications, lots of standing watching for particular teams within the majors. That's where we're going to start, right? We have to start with the biggest topic that is at top of mind when it comes to particularly the biggest market in all of sports, New York, and how pitiful, disgusting, abrasive, just absolutely repulsive both New York baseball teams have been since the break, since July 1. Mets and Yankees fans can agree on this. You know what? There isn't even hating on each other at this point because they're hating on their own teams. That's how bad it is. So I think we need to start with that, Derek. Just say how absolutely pitiful it is to watch these teams, to follow these teams, to watch them absolutely plummet in the standings. It's been bad, Derek.
Yeah, especially as a Yankee fan, it's quite depressing to see what's going on with Mr. Cashman, Mr. Boone. Obviously, some people will say, oh, no Judge for a little while, or like the first couple weeks when he was hurt. Still, we can't have the team just utterly collapsing without him. And not even just that, the pitching staff has been quite literally dreadful. And I want to actually take out both of my eyes, including my glasses, lenses, and never watch a baseball game again after seeing them pitch. It's so fucking bad. It irritates me to the umpteenth degree.
We can definitely start on the Yankees. I think that's a fair assessment to start, considering we both are Yankee fans. Obviously, just looking into the statistics alone, right? Since July 1st, the Yankees are 15-20. That's just bad. That's just... There's no way about it. There's no sugarcoating it. There's no really jumping around it. That's just really bad for a team that was to the World Series last year and quote-unquote has World Series aspirations, right? Us Yankee fans who watch the games, we know they don't have World Series aspirations. However, we know that they're better than 15-20 in their last 35 games, right? And not only are they 15-20, that has brought them to the third wild card spot, which for anybody who doesn't know, that's the last spot for the playoffs as of right now. Right? So not only has this record just been a horrific July, a horrific start to August, it's actually jeopardizing them even making it to the playoffs. They are only a game up in the playoffs currently because not, like I said, 15-20 in their last 35, 3-7 in their last 10. It's just not pretty whatsoever. And it doesn't, and the sad part is when you watch these games, it's just downright depressing, right? They're just not a fun team to watch. Every single time they get a lead, you just instinctively feel that they're going to blow it in some way, shape, or form. It's brutal, if I'm being honest.
It's actually horrible. I want to step away from the pitching staff. I want to go to one specific player on the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
This man he's the biggest piece of shit in the world. Mind you, great kid, but send his ass back to, I swear on everything I own, if Anthony Volpe doesn't get sent back down to the Somerset Patriots, I'm gonna fucking raise hell. This motherfucking horse shit. Oh my god. You might as well have him swing a fucking pool noodle. This is how bad it's getting. Obviously, people are saying, oh, he's going to be the next Jeter. He's going to be this. He's going to be that. He has all these aspirations because he was so big and when he was in the minors. And now he's in the majors, and even the fucking corked bat, the special bat that everyone uses on the Yankees, it's not helping him.
No, look, it's pretty straightforward with Volpe, right? If you look at his statistics from a shortstop position, right? 17 homers, now 18 after tonight. 65 ribbies. That's actually not bad production for a shortstop in the major leagues. However, if you watch every game, he has the most errors in the league. This is after he won a Gold Glove 2 years ago, his rookie year, right? He's got the most errors in the league, so he's jeopardizing the team on the defensive side of the ball. He's batting below 220, 218, which is not what you want for a guy who has his speed, right? He should be trying to get on base every single chance he gets because he has the ability to steal bases, and he's not even doing that properly. His on base percentage is less than 300. So not only is he batting below 220, but he's not walking. He has 110 strikeouts, only not even 40 walks, right? That is a horrific ratio for what he should be trying to do. He shouldn't be trying to hit the ball out every single time. He shouldn't be trying to go for slugging. He should be trying to go for on-base percentage, steals, and especially shore up the defensive side of the ball, which he has not done in the slightest. He's actually been a liability at shortstop this year.
It's been very bad. Like, seeing him play, and obviously, like, he has his moments in the field to where he looks good, where he makes a nice play. But this motherfucker has so many fucking errors. So many errors. Mind you, this could be a bad, technically this is a junior year, correct? Technically?
Yeah, technically this is his junior year, yep.
So maybe he's having a bad junior year, and he'll bounce back next year. I hope to fucking God that's what it is. But from what I'm seeing out of him is just horrible. Horrible baseball, horrible everything.
Yeah, and his shortcomings have just been amplified due to this horrific stretch that the Yankees are on, right? And I don't want to, be a dick, and I don't want to be a bearer of bad news just because I'm not going to absolutely kill him in particular, right? He's bad. He has been one of the top 3 problems on this team, but it's really the whole team as a whole, right? Devin Williams could be the worst case of pinstripe phobia that we have maybe ever seen.
I hate that.
Coming over from different teams, right? This guy has given up more runs this year than he has the past 2 years combined. He has over a 5 ERA. The last 3 years, he's had under a 2 ERA. His confidence has been tanking whatsoever. And then it also doesn't help that Boone continuously puts him in because the analytics tell him to do so, right? We'll get back to that in a second because I do want to rip Boone's asshole a new one. However, it's not just Volpe. It's not just Devin Williams, right? Max Fried was having a Cy Young start to the year. Has not been the case since, right? Over the last 2 starts, over a 7 ERA. That's just not going to cut it. He's been giving up 4 runs, 4 runs, 4 runs, 6 runs, 4 runs. That's not what you need from an ace, especially when you knew coming into this year you weren't going to have Cole, right? Sure, pitchers go through bad stretches. This has been a little bit extended, right? 5, 6 starts, that's not a stretch, that's a pattern, that's a problem. He's got to correct that. But I think me and Derek can both agree the Yankees' shortcomings are just coming to light because they have horrible management. They have a horrible front office. Their entire scheme is flawed from top to bottom. They are quite literally the worst fundamental team in the majors when it comes to base running, when it comes to fielding, when it comes to just outright decision making, right? And this is after people say they lost the World Series because of fundamentals. So they didn't improve upon that. If anything, they got worse. And that is a complete lack of management. And I have to blame Aaron Boone. I'm sorry. I just have to.
And we can't just, this also goes into the management. You're going to a trade deadline. The Yankees are, during the trade deadline, when the trade deadline's going on, they're going through a struggle. A massive fucking struggle. And especially in the pitching staff. You would think, hey, the Yankees will make a splash. Big market team, try to make a splash, right? No. They don't. Instead, don't get me wrong, this is who I'm about to say, he's a great player, great ball player, but we don't need him. Ryan McMahon, who the Yankees traded for, good player, do not need. What the Yankees aren't doing right now, what they haven't been doing for what seems to be years, is they aren't going after things that the Yankees need. First of all, one thing I want to say, Cashman, I hate that motherfucker. I want to break both of his legs. I hate him. Boone, I want him fired tomorrow, if possible.
The Yankees' biggest issue, especially on Cashman's end, is he doesn't like to admit when he's wrong, right? And he also has a very specific way of doing things, and he's done this over the last few years, especially come deadline time when the Yankees are within the hunt, right? They're a good enough team to make the playoffs, but we're not sure if they're going to actually go far. Cashman does his best to try and fill stopgaps for the Yankees, right? Rather than going out there and getting the big player. He doesn't like to give up prospects until it's much too late, right? We experienced that firsthand just a few years ago with Clint Frazier and Miguel Andujar. He was unwilling to, nobody can touch them, not even for the best players in the majors. And that hurt, right? Because neither one of those guys wound up being anything for the Yankees. Andujar's having a nice career elsewhere, but it didn't work out here. And continuously, there are players on the market that you see that could definitely help this team, right? McMahon, you're right, not a bad player. He was an insanely great upgrade at defense from the third base perspective. However, he's still batting 220, right? That doesn't help your lineup, which already has a bunch of flaws, which can't get on base, which is very home run reliant. It's the same shit every year. And on top of that, every Yankee fan knew coming into this deadline, especially with Cole going down, especially with Clark Schmidt going down, especially with missing Luis Gil this entire year until the last few games, you needed started pitching, right? What did he do? He went out there and he signed Kenta Maeda to a minor league deal. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it come playoff time. It just isn't. Sure, there have been some nice surprises, right? Cam Schlittler called up from AAA. He's been pitching okay, right? I think he has a lot of potential. The kid, he's only going to get better. But do you trust a rookie come playoff time? Luis Gil, definitely nice to get back. However, he hadn't pitched the whole year. So you don't know what you're getting back from him. Rodon, I'm not quite sure any Yankee fan really trusts him in the big game.
I hate him.
And then on top of that, Max Fried's supposed to be your ace. He's going through a horrific stretch. It's frustrating to watch, especially when you know there are pieces out there that could have helped you and you should have went all in on. It's just frustrating from that perspective. And then you're right, 100%, Derek. Boone is just absolutely horrific. He completely relies on analytics. He has no feel for the game whatsoever. He doesn't know when to bring in a reliever in. He doesn't know when to pitch hit for a certain guy. His lineup decisions are asinine, to say the least. And yes, it's not all Boone's fault. I get it. I get the analytics department has a good say in what they do. But show some balls. You've been in baseball your whole life. Have some feel for the game. Do things on your own. You don't always have to listen to some nerd up in the third deck who's watching the game from a computer.
It's like he's like the NFL comparison. Well, he's the NFL comparison to him is Mike McDaniels for the Dolphins.
It's a shame.
It's hard. It's because don't get me wrong. Obviously, I love the Yankees. I would support them to the worst and all that. But it sucks to watch Yankee games now and just knowing the inevitable. Like exactly what you were saying before. Yankees are up by like 2 runs, bottom of the 9th. Bring in fucking Devin Williams or something like that. It just goes. It's sad to say. It's very, very sad to say.
Agreed. And then moving away, we bashed the Yankees enough. Going on to the other side of town, right?
My happiness.
The Queens.
My happiness.
The Mets are even worse, arguably, right? Over this stretch, they've lost now 7 in a row. They're going into a huge home series against the Braves, where they, just for quick context, right? They're only up in the wild card by, I believe now,
a half a game.
One game as well, right? Over the Cincinnati Reds. So both of these teams have just been plummeting. And the Mets, very similar to the Yankees when it came to the front office, they just didn't do enough to go out there and say, we want to be winners this year. Their lineup is one of the absolute worst in the majors over the last month and a half. Since the start of July, they only have 243 runs, 15 and 18. That is the lowest amount of runs scored in the major leagues. 145, I apologize. 145. Like, just horrific. I was about to say they have the lowest hits in the major league at 243. Their lineup is completely flawed from top to bottom, especially when Lindor, Pete, and Soto aren't right.
So happy.
So it's just been a complete dismantling effect over there in Queens. Not to mention their starting pitching is completely depleted, right? Clay Holmes was a nice beginning of the year project. He is fluttering, right? He's never pitched this many innings in his life before. It's showing now. Frankie Montas, they were hoping to be a big part of the rotation, today, as of today, just officially assigned to the bullpen because they don't trust him to start games. They've had a bunch of injuries. I'm not going to discount that. However, it just seems front office wise, they didn't do enough again. Similar story to the Yankees.
It's a New York pattern, honestly. Just New York teams just come, like, say, for example, come middle of the season for trades or anything like that to make your team a little better. They say, you know what, fuck you guys. I'm not helping. We're staying the way we are. Every single time. And also, like, as you were saying, it's so huge when you have three very, Pete Alonso, Juan Soto, and Lindor. If your three best players on your team aren't clicking, you're not going to win any games. Yep. And them being, what are they, 15 and 18?
They were 15 and 18 since July 1, yep.
And that's being probably generous to some games they like barely got away with.
No, look, it's the truth. They have a makeshift starting rotation now, right? As I mentioned earlier, Soto has been definitely good this second half of the year. However, he's not really come big when it comes to runners in scoring position, which is obviously a huge factor when you're looking into hitters. Lindor has definitely not been himself, I would say probably over the last month, 2 months. And then Pete started off really hot. He still has obviously that home run effect. However, he's been, simmering down to begin with. So I think their biggest issue was their lineup. And then come the trade deadline, they really just didn't do enough to make an impact, right? They acquired Cedric Mullins, which is a nice catch for them. However, that's not enough. There's so many holes within that lineup that you can point at, right? Third base with Vientos or Beatty, whoever you're putting there, right? Jeff McNeil's only batting .250 this year. Brandon Nimmo, who's such a huge part of your team, batting below .250. It goes up and down the line where they just didn't do enough to go get that big guy to really make a big impact.
Yeah, and Jesus Christ, New York sucks. Just because I don't understand this. It's kind of a rhetorical question. You're one of the biggest market teams in the world. New York teams, Queens, New York, Manhattan, biggest market in the world. You would think the owners, the GMs, the managers will sit down and be like, all right, hey, let's try to make the best team we possibly can. You would think.
I can't speak for Steve Cohen, right? I'm not a Mets fan. I don't know him as well as they do. He does spend money. I'm not going to discount that, right? He just gave the largest contract out in MLB history to Juan Soto this offseason. I can speak to Hal, however, right? Where I know for a fact he just cares about this. He cares about the money. So if there are people in the stands, ass in seats, he doesn't care. He's making money. He's raking it in. He's not going to go to Cashman and say, go get the big time guy. I want to win. As long as they make the playoffs, get him extra revenue, everything's okay in New York town, right? On the flip side of that, if you want changes as a Yankee fan, maybe it's in our best interest to miss the playoffs. Maybe it's in our best interest to hurt his pockets where he goes finally and says, you know what? Maybe it's finally time for a full-on overhaul of an organizational change. But that's TBD.
The one thing I think you and me could both pray on for the New York Yankee side is for Mr. Cashman and Boone to get fired.
Yeah, it's everybody, really, right? If you fire Boone without firing Cashman, it really doesn't do a lot, right? Yeah. Because there's going to be a very highly analytical organization. Cashman's still going to hire a guy who is a quote-unquote puppet. So it's a tit for tat type thing, right? If you fire Cashman and keep Boone, it's a little bit better than the opposite. However, is really Boone the guy to move you forward? I'm not quite sure about that, right? Can he have a mind of his own without the analytics department? We've never seen that. We don't know if that's the case. He probably can't. The best case scenario is everybody has to go. They have to have an entire organization They have to have an entire organizational shift. They have to have a mindset shift where it's not just about analytics. You have to have a feel for the game, right? You have to teach fundamentals in your minor leagues. You have to bring up guys who can actually hit with runners in scoring position, do situational hitting, situational fielding. It's just these little things, right? That are the difference between winning another 10 games and missing the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it showed last year against the Dodgers in the World Series, and somehow they did nothing to change it.
And, well, I was obviously, I believe Mr. on the other side, Mr. Cohen, he does spend a lot of money. But how I see it is, are you spending all the money in the right places? Not really, because obviously he spent all this money on Soto, but look at how the team is.
No, look, and that is a case to be made, right? A lot of Yankee fans, we all wanted Soto. I'm one of them. I fully admit it. I'm pissed that he went to the Mets. But at that same time, right, if maybe Soto's on the Yankees, are the Yankees even worse because they couldn't spend money elsewhere, right? Maybe we don't get Bellinger. Maybe we don't get some of these high-profile guys. Maybe we don't get Grisham. Like, it's these guys that are maybe helping us this year that aren't helping the Mets, right? Maybe he allocated too much resources to one player. And that's going to be interesting storyline come this offseason to see what he does. Because you may lose a couple of guys if you're the Mets, right? Edwin Diaz is coming up on a contract, so they're going to have to see what they want to do with him. Big Meat Pete Alonso, right? The new home run king in Mets land, right? He's going to be looking, he's probably going to opt out, look for a new deal because of a nice year that he's had. So they're going to be losing a couple of guys. It's going to be curious to see where they pinpoint and who they go after in the offseason.
Yeah, but overall, I think we both can make this equal consensus is that New York baseball right now sucks. And hopefully, come playoff time, it will get better. Will it be as what everyone expected it to be going into the year? Fuck no. It's not going to be like that because people were saying that the Mets are going to win the NL East, and even win the NL. And it doesn't even look like they're going to make the playoffs. And same thing with the Yankees. People thought they're going to win the AL and not make and they might not make the playoffs.
It's tough. Look, obviously we talk about this. There is still a lot of season left, so I don't want to, get my panties in a twist over what could be or what can't be. Right? We're about 120 games into the year, so you got another 40, 45 games left. A lot of things can happen within that time period, so I don't want to discount one of these teams or both of these teams out of the playoffs completely. They're not in great spots. However, things can change. Get on a hot streak, get some guy, a rookie comes out of nowhere. Things happen.
Yeah.
So while it's horrific now, you got to try to have some sort of optimism, even though that's not my forte.
I have no optimism. We are fucked. That's just how I see it. I don't see it. I hope it gets better. Will it get better? No.
Yeah, it's not great. But let's move on to something happier, right, Derek?